friends. It's almost midnight, and you found your way to the PikeCast. Come along as we careen through the catalog of the most formative horror writer of our young adult days, Christopher Pike. From adult perspectives, we'll revisit these YA books our parents probably would never have let us read had they known what lie inside. We tackle one book per episode in a freewheeling and unbiased chat. So grab your battered paperback, pull the flashlight from the kitchen drawer, climb under your bed covers, and devour a good book with us.
Greetings, fellow Pikers, and welcome to the PikeCast. I'm Cooper Beckett, and I'm thrilled to be joined by my lovely co-host, Cassie.
Hello.
Tonight, we continue our coverage of Christopher Pike's Final Friends Trilogy with 1988's Book 2, The Dance. We're going to be dissecting it in great detail, spoiling each and every plot twist, so consider yourself warned. If you're enjoying the PikeCast, please leave us a review on the podcast service of your choice. We want to welcome back Katie Lilly from the Haunted Outfit Instagram, where she draws characters from teen horror novels, and from her podcast, Super Chillers, which reviews books from R.L. Stine, point horror, and other scary teen lit. Katie, I'm surprised you came back with as much as we hated on the book last week, but we're happy you're back.
I couldn't miss this opportunity. We've got to finish out this trilogy. Everyone
She's just
loves
going to drag
it.
us like kicking and screaming
Through the trilogy.
If you want to just cancel book 3, I understand.
Well, no, now we're 2/3 of the way through.
No, now we're invested.
It would be a real, like, I mean, I would feel incomplete as a person.
Yeah.
If we didn't finish book 3.
So if Pike ever comes out with Final Friends 4, could I come back and talk about it with you?
You know what? We'd like to have you on a book maybe that we would like. So we'll have you back for that. But yes, if Pike, I mean, just like Grady Hendrix, you are inextricably tied to us and Final Friends. If there's another one, you're here. I'm sorry.
No.
It's not even a choice. Yeah. Poor Grady, he's stuck with book 3 of Remember Me, which couldn't possibly be good. So, yeah. And I honestly, he doesn't know it yet, but I'm thinking of tying Joe Lipsa to the last Vampire series. And that, good Lord, that's like 7 books long. So, I mean, we don't have to ask you any of the questions because, not only are you familiar with Pike and have been on the show before, but you were here literally in the last episode. So there's not even like a whole lot of things you could have done between then and now.
It's true. I haven't achieved that much.
I didn't mean it that way, but yeah. I also have not achieved much since the last episode.
Same.
I do want to make a recommendation for our listeners. The series Yellow Jackets.
Oh, it's so
on
good.
Showtime.
Oh my gosh,
It feels
so
like
good.
a Pike book. To me.
It does.
It feels like the best of Pike books.
It's so 90s.
Yeah.
I love it.
It also has the benefit of, I graduated in 97 because I'm the oldest person here, and the graduating class in Yellow Jackets is 96. So not only do I get the present day characters, but I also get the past characters who are pretty much my age. And as I'm still working on developing my series Osgood into a TV series, what was really exciting is there's like 4 actresses in Yellow Jackets who would make amazing Osgoods. Just great. Yeah. So definitely check it out and be warned, it ends on a really frustrating cliffhanger. But good news is they've already greenlit season 2. So there's that. Shall we do this book? Maybe Final Friends 2, The Dance.
If we must.
Which like in the first book, The Party, the dance doesn't happen until the very end.
God.
But let's, Cassie, you want to read the back of the book? See what it promises?
He searched for a murderer that couldn't exist. The party was over. Alice McCoy was dead, a depressed girl who'd taken a loaded gun to her head. At least that's what everyone thought. Everyone except Michael Olson. He knew it was no suicide, but how could he prove it? How could he catch a murderer that seemingly had the power to walk through walls? I'm sorry.
What?
Okay. And how could he tell Jessica Hart that he loved her when she obviously preferred someone else? Michael did not know, but he would try his best. It will not be enough. For him or Jessica. The homecoming dance will end like the party. In horror. The murderer will walk through another wall. Dun dun dun. This is so silly.
What horseshit?
How are they gonna? I love how it's just like a following. Like, how could he catch a murderer? And then, how could he tell this girl about his feelings?
Yeah, I know, right? And I mean, it may as well have been, how can he identify a brand new comet? Because that is far more important than the murderer in this book. And they're doing some very fancy footwork with the text on the cover. The party had claimed one victim. The dance would claim another. Because the dance doesn't claim a victim. There is no one that is put in a chalk outline in this, because nobody dies except for stroke bedridden aunt of Polly.
And she was murdered.
And she's, well, maybe.
Likely.
I don't know. I think a lot depends on whether Clark exists or not.
Oh, you don't think he's real?
Well, I think there may be a real Clark, but I don't think the Clark we spend time with in this book is real. I think he is a figment of Polly's imagination. That's where I'm going with this. Shall we move to the Midnight Club? Well, no, let's look at the cover of this book. Okay, so there's people at a dance. We again get the wonderfully long-haired, curly-haired, grown-up looking, I'm going to say it's Mike again, in his khaki suit. Again, he's the only one looking at the camera. Everyone else is horrified at some dead. I like that they chalk outlined her hair.
I know, I liked that too. And her individual fingers.
Yeah.
See, for this book, I have the old covers, or like the alternate, not old, but alternate one. So there's just like this weird guy holding like a death symbol, like a necklace that says, literally just says death on it. With like some flowers. He's wearing like a leather jacket, and then there's a girl like running from an explosion with like,
whoa,
she's in a bra or like a really small shirt of some sort.
Cassie, you need to share this book on our Instagram.
I will. I'll take a picture of it after.
That's Bizarro World.
Yeah, I don't know who the guy's supposed to even be. He's wearing a red scarf. Does anybody wear a red scarf?
No.
Yeah,
but fake Clark is a biker.
Oh, maybe that is it. Does he have a necklace that says death?
Well, I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah,
it would be right up to this book's level of subtlety. So, do these things accurately capture what's inside? I'm going to vote for fuck no.
No, because they imply that something actually happens for a majority of the book. And that's bullshit. I'm just going to say it right here and now.
In general, nothing happens.
It was like watching like 90210, except way less interesting for like most of this book. It was just high school. I don't understand.
This is, again, I mean, like, I brought up Fast Times at Ridgemont High last time, and I have to bring it up again because that's what this series is, except not good or interesting. But it is just spending time with kids, which, from another writer with a different, let's say, promise on the back of the books, that might be fine. You know, if he wants to write Sweet Valley High, he has to write fucking Sweet Valley High. So, I mean, like, Christopher Pike started writing those books. Like, we have a book coming up at some point we're going to review called Cheerleaders by Christopher Pike. That's not a horror novel. And you know what? If it's not a horror novel, it's okay. But this is supposed to be a horror novel. Everything about this says it's a horror novel. The cover, the fonts, the description on the back. So spending literally a chapter taking the SATs.
Ugh. Just so she can fail them because she's an idiot and took the wrong medicine. Like, what side plot
took
is
the wrong
this?
medicine and then cheated, but cheated wrong.
I can't. Like, how so silly. There were so many little side things that they had that I was just like, why did we just spend 10 pages doing this? I don't get it.
Okay, so, I mean, look, we've done this already with book 1. So I can't guarantee, listeners, that this is going to follow PikeCast structure because, good God. But we may as well try. So let's move to the Midnight Club and start by talking about our characters. But before we do, I do want to answer a question that I've been given by a few listeners of the podcast. Why do you review Pike books when you clearly don't like them? And
what kind of question is that for a PikeCast?
I know, right? I mean, first of all, we do like most of the Pike books, but we are being honest that some of them are not good, and that's not surprising when he wrote 3 books a year. I mean, it's just not. Stephen King doesn't write 3 books a year. And he's had clunkers and bullshit. Tommy Knockers is literally one of the worst books I've ever read. Okay. Everybody in the audience ready for hate mail there? Okay. Hate me on that. And I will explain to you why it's bullshit. But honestly, if we liked every Pike book, we would not be a good podcast. That's bottom line. Because there's no reason to put together something just to praise someone. This is, I mean, Cassie and I and Becca at the beginning, we all decided we're going to be honest. Even if Pike is listening, we're going to be honest about these books. So I just needed to address that because I heard that a bunch after the last episode, and it was frustrating.
I think I think the people asking that are silly though, because like also any person who does anything gets better at the thing they're doing the more they do it. And most of the books that we had an issue with or do not like are his earliest ones. So I think it stands to reason that we might not like those because he used those same exact tropes and ideas that he did the first time and then just did them better. So like there are so many things in these books, in this trilogy, that I like happening in other books because those other books had so much else going on and they were more fun. But here where it's just like sit through 200 pages of high school, basic ass high school, which I've already lived through, no thank you. And then explosions, which I love and I'm here for, but like you gave me 20 pages of that. Like, so I'm like, yeah, I don't. Also, just because we like an author doesn't mean we're going to like every single thing they write. Like that's silly. Nobody does that. And I feel like most of our listeners probably have a book by him that they didn't like too, that they listened to us.
Oh, well, yeah, I bet everybody who's complaining has also hated a Pike book that we loved.
Plus, I think it's better for people to get honest opinions than us just being like, oh, yeah, it was great for an hour when we really just like could not stand it. And we're super unenthusiastic.
Okay, let's start with Jessica Hart, whose defining feature in this book, besides being a real utter bitch, is that she's horrified that she has to wear glasses to school. And like her eye doctor makes the point that glasses have become a fad recently, apparently. But still, she can't fucking stand the idea that she's going to wear glasses at school because, and this is a direct quote, she couldn't help feeling people were staring at her and thinking she looked like an encyclopedia.
Aww.
What?
And she goes on a date with Bill to a foreign film that she can't understand because she's not wearing her glasses, so she can't read the subtitles. And also she's a raging bitch throughout this entire book.
She is.
I would have put this quote in my worst quotes section, but honestly, it's so central to Jessica's character here. I need to say it now. Jessica Hart was alive. She had to worry about her looks again, whether Bill Skater found her desirable, whether she was going to pass her next chemistry exam. She had to live. Fuck you, Jessica.
Jessica mourns differently, I think, than a lot of us.
and this is a quote from her from late in the book. It's her point of view. I'm no longer a little girl. I've grown up. I'm a bitch.
It's true.
It
is very, very true.
I did not like her in book 1, and then in book 2, I was like, I actively dislike you now, girl. Like,
yes, I know. Like, yeah, she made questionable choices in book 1. Book 2, good God. I'm sorry, we keep stomping all over you, Katie. Go ahead.
No, that's okay. I have a small voice. Yeah, I was going to just say the same thing. Like, she was just actively horrible in this book. And it makes me mad that Michael is still so infatuated with her, even though she's a monster.
It's true.
Yes. And how much she is in love with him, yet still all over Bill, and still so excited that she might lose her virginity to Bill. But then, I just realized how much I love Mike. And if only there was some way I could know how much he likes me. If only there was some way in the world that I could figure out how to communicate with Mike, who is right there, literally right there all the time.
Mike, whose 2 priorities are finding a murderer and also confessing his feelings to the same girl who is wondering how she can figure out how to get his feelings confessed to her.
I mean, it's not even will they,
what
won't
a plot.
they. It's like, to have a successful will they, won't they, somebody has to not be on board. But with them both on... Well, let's talk about Mike then. Michael. This is the most angsty sentence ever. He had promised himself at Alice's funeral that he would never let himself feel again. That he would never give pain such a clear shot at him. But that had been childish. You saw that now.
Yeah, you think? I remember laughing. I stopped when I was reading because I was like laughing at that part. I was like, what is this?
I will say, I get it. I've probably been there in high school.
Yeah, no, yeah, same. When you're like 14, 15, you're like, oh man, I'm never going to be happy again. I'll never recover from this.
It is the most angsty teenager. And just, also, there's a reason why most teenagers behave like adults in movies and TV shows about them. And it's because that makes them interesting. If we actually had teenagers behaving like teenagers most of the time, they'd be pretty psychotic and just boring as hell because they're not fully formed people.
All the teenagers listening to the PikeCast are like, damn, Cooper, what the
Do you think there are a lot of teenagers who listen
maybe
to the
like
podcast?
listening with their moms? I don't know.
I picture the mom turning to the kid and saying, he's right,
That's probably true.
Go to bed. Now, there's an interesting thing. I don't know if you two noticed, but a lot of people seem to think Michael is far out.
Yeah, I did.
Like, it's mentioned 3 or 4 times in the book. Huh. What the fuck is that about? Like, last time, there was an obsession with phonies. And that obsession is not here this time. This time, people are far out. Like, literally, Mr. Far Out Michael Olsen is the quote. And then later, were you talking to Michael Olson? Do you know him? He's a far out guy. I mean, I suppose he is, because he's actively searching for a new comet.
So he's like way over there, like 3 miles away in the desert somewhere, just like looking.
Yeah, way over. He's far out.
Far out.
It's far out there. Literally.
I mean, far out is a 60s term, right? That's not an 80s thing.
No, it does seem strange. I chalked it up to, because you know how sometimes when teenagers hear something again and they're like, oh, this is cool again, and they just like bring something back. So I figured like it was topical for the time, and that's why it was so repetitive so frequently, because I don't know. And I pictured like the girl from Mean Girls, and she's just like, you're not going to make Far Out happen, Michael Olson.
Yeah, just stop trying.
Just stop trying.
So weird. So literally, though, Michael is spending his time as amateur detective, but he's also literally building a telescope to go out to the desert to find a new comet, which is cool. I'm an astronomy guy. But why are we hearing about it? Why is it important at all? Like, I get wanting to fill out these characters, but this is literally a 200-page book. We don't need to fill out these characters that much. We need to fill out these characters in ways that actually effectively work with the plot. So unless he's going to find Clark's origins on the comet, and he's a space vampire like Cassie's been hoping,
It's true.
There's no reason for it.
What if it comes back later? Like maybe it's maybe like in the third book, like the telescope is like very useful, and they're like, wow, we're so glad you were randomly looking for comets and you had this telescope, dude.
I mean, that would be wonderful. Honestly, any continuity that actually adds to the plot would be great in book 3.
Yeah, I'm really hoping that 3 is just gonna be this moment for me where I'm just like, holy shit, my mind is blown.
All
This
comes
series is
together.
great. Yeah, I'm hoping.
And Katie's just sitting there like,
She's just quiet.
They have no idea.
Well,
She's
now
like,
I'm
oh, if they did like the high
scared.
school before.
What if you guys hate it?
Oh no.
You know,
Grassy,
Katie,
but with more explosions.
let me be very clear, Katie. If we hate it, we will still like you.
Yeah,
Thank
that's
you.
true. And we'll
That's
still like
true.
talking about it with
Yes,
you.
this has nothing. This doesn't reflect on you at all. You were just the unfortunate soul that has been dragged along with us on this expedition.
Thanks. Yeah. No.
I love her. Cooper's just having his Ursula moment, like, you poor unfortunate soul. Katie's
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Well, I do still have faith in book 3.
Okay.
But, you know, after reading book 1 with fresh eyes, I feel like book 2 would have just been so much better if it had focused on his investigation. Because there's really only like 2 clues that we got in the whole book. And he is like a really good detective and he's very smart. So it would have been cool if the whole book kind of focused on him looking for clues.
And we could have exciting moments when they download literal megabytes of files.
Yeah.
Whole megabytes. I put that in my quaint section.
Imagine a world where you can download like a megabyte. Can you even imagine?
wow. Technology is amazing.
I know.
Well, it all goes back to, I think Bill Gates said, I don't know anyone who'd ever need more than 640K memory. It's a different time.
Yeah.
It's a very different time. So that's Michael again.
So wait, so about Mike, I will say one more thing though. So as annoying as he is to me, and as like, I'm like, God, why are you so dumb? I will agree with Katie that he is a pretty decent detective, and I do give him props for not giving up on Alice when everybody else seems like really okay with just being like, let's go back to normal life. Like Jessica, like, I have to make sure my guy wants to fuck me. Like,
yeah, good Lord.
At least Jessica. He's trying to figure out what actually happened, because he's like, no, this isn't right. And I really cared about this girl. And it's sad to me because Alice is like, these are the two most important people in my life. I can't wait for them to meet. And then one of them's just like, she's dead. Oh, well, moving on. And then he's the only one that actually is like trying to figure it out. So that makes me like him way more than Jessica, especially after book one.
I will quote this here. So he's out in the desert. He's looking at for the comet, and a calm, solid strength seemed to flow into him from the ground. And it was as if something else had touched him, something deep and powerful. And I emphasize something because something is in italics. To this day, he couldn't say what had happened, except for approximately 2 hours, he had felt loved, completely loved. Supernatural.
I keep hoping.
Or nothing.
And yet.
Could be something, could be nothing. We have no idea.
Maybe it's Dusty's roach mom from the other book. Out in the desert just looking for him.
Dear God. Let's move on to Polly, who honestly, she made the most interesting transformation here. From a somewhat normal kid to like whatever happened to baby Jane Betty Davis. Polly has gone completely off the rails here, and it's high camp. And like I feel like John Waters would just love this character now. Like she had lost 20 pounds in the last 2 months since she had lost her sister Alice. It was weird. Again, this is horrible. She looked better than she had in years, as long as one didn't look too deeply into her faraway eyes and ponder what might be going on behind them. So as long as you don't care too much about Polly, she looks good.
Yeah, she kind of reminds me of Drusilla from Buffy.
Oh,
like,
yes.
She does. That's really good, yeah.
She could be wearing like a white nightgown and just wandering through the school.
Yes.
And just ask, are we okay? What's going on? Just what's going on? Yeah. I've got some description here that's very mean about Polly. Except for a streak of gray that had mysteriously sprung from beside her right ear, she looked, in Sarah's truly unbiased opinion, I don't know what that's about, downright voluptuous. That was what happened when fat girls got skinny. Why did anyone pay for breast implants? Probably pigging out for a few months and then going on a fast would work just as well.
Oh my.
And we've got another one from Michael's point of view. She had lost a great deal of weight, particularly in her face. Just like that's the first thing we get. Just poor Polly. Because she's probably crazy. Her sister is dead. She's got an abusive, possibly imaginary friend. And I'm going to keep on this possibly imaginary, because I want to see if I'm right next week. So how do we feel about Polly's evolution here? Not good, huh? All right.
She's fine. I like the Drusilla comparison, but that made me like her more just because I like Drusilla's character. But otherwise, she was just
amazing.
Yeah, Polly's just, I don't know. I felt bad for her a lot because I think she got like the short end of many sticks. And
yeah, and it doesn't really seem like her friends are very worried about her. Like,
no,
I mean, if it's
cares.
only been 2 months and she's lost all this weight and she's like stuck at home taking care of like her aunt who's very ill and she's just lost her sister, like she's experienced a lot of sadness. And you know, they probably don't know that she's having these conversations with herself like, oh, make sure you drink your Pepsi when you eat your candy. But they should be, you know, checking in on her a little bit more, I think.
Well, they're all so busy being horrible people and horrible friends that they don't have any time to check in on Polly. Speaking of busy, let's talk about Sarah Cantrell, who accidentally became president of the student body. And I've got, this is interesting. And I like this moment here. Sarah hadn't even told Jessica this, but she could no longer stand to be alone. Occasionally, she wondered if some sick impulse would suddenly strike her, like a demon whispering in her ear, and like Alice, she would grab a knife or maybe a razor blade and cut open a vein and bleed all that blood Alice had. I really like delving into that idea of the compulsion you don't understand. It's like they talk about when you're driving late at night and you feel the compulsion to turn the wheel into the headlights. Or is that just me? Am I crazy?
No, that's like if you're on like a bridge or whatever, they're like intrusive thoughts because you just like think of doing something that'll hurt you and you're like, I don't obviously want to do that, but for some reason I feel like I should just jump off of this bridge right now.
Yeah, it's like a what would happen.
Yeah.
And so that is there are these little moments in these books where you get a glimpse of the depths Pike would plumb later. And I don't know, maybe that's one of the reasons people like these books, is because they're seeing sort of future Pike reflected. So if they read this early and then they read all these others afterwards, a lot of the stories are so similar that it's possible retroactively these are being improved in people's memory.
Yeah.
Or is that my desperate explanation of why people like this series?
I think it's just like a nostalgia thing. Like, like if this was the first thing, because this series seems like the one that would be in school libraries more than some of the others.
Oh, very true. Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like this was more accessible at the time. And so it had a bigger audience than some of the other books had. And that's why there are so many people who are like, oh yeah, I remember. Because I truly, like, I wish Becca were still here because I truly can't imagine like somebody who had not had a whole history with Pike reading the Pike books and then reading this series and being like, oh, stellar, 5 out of 5. Like this is peak Pike performance here. Like because it's not. And like maybe it's just because I'm very biased because obviously I like when there's like 5 different storylines happening at once, and I also very much like the space and like the vampires and the monsters, and this has none of it. Like
it has 5 storylines. They're just not interesting.
They're just all the same high school kids just doing high school kid shit, and I'm just like, well, as a 30-something-year-old woman, like it's not for me. But I can understand if I had read this when I was 13, which I didn't read the whole series. For some reason, I think I read the second book because this one was a little bit familiar to me, but the first one was not. I think if I had read the whole thing first before any of the other books, I would have been like, oh, cool. Like in the same like way that like Caroline B. Cooney was cool, like in the girl with the face in the milk carton. Cause I was just like, ooh, like things happening. And this is like Lifetime, but for kids. Like, I don't know.
Actually, no, you bring up a really good point because I was reading a lot of these in junior high. And so I do think I would be far more fascinated with the various drugs and machinations of high school reading this in junior high.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm no longer enamored with high school. So
there's no mystery to it for you because like when you're 13, you're like, wow, like I'm gonna be 14, 15. I'm gonna go to high school. I'm gonna have all these parties and friends, and like now I can get a little look at what that's like now in this book. And then there's like murder or possible suicide, or there's like adult themes that, like you said, are repeated in his other books. It's as its own thing later for me. Like as an adult, it's just not my jam. Right. But if I were 13, I would be like, oh yeah, fucking give it to me. I love it. Like it would be great. It would be fantastic. I'd be looking forward to high school and all of like the cocaine and the parties and like just yeah.
All the Sugar Sisters need to make an appearance.
Yes, where are the Sugar Sisters of this book?
Where are they? Maybe we'll get one in book 3.
Yeah, and so it's interesting that you bring up the Sugar Sisters too, because I feel like Die Softly, that's the one with them, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I feel like that one is one that I also did not like because it doesn't get as wild as I like Pike books to get, but that one's so similar to this series because it's also like high school and like just regular stuff. But then obviously there's like, cocaine and guns on the street and like
cocaine and killing someone with a bat it's just
I wonder, I would be curious from our listeners if you're hearing this, like if you like the Final Friends book, like do you like Die Softly a lot also, and do you like not like the spacey alien ones, like the Starlight Crystal, like do you not like those? And if you like these, because that's how I feel, so I wonder if other people feel that way.
You know what, Cassie, you've brought up an interesting idea for me. What if we ask our listeners, if you like this trilogy and want to tell us why, you can send us an audio clip. And I'm going to give you the phone number for my other podcast. It goes to me, 573-557-9464. Record an audio clip telling us what you like about it. And I promise we won't make fun of you for it, because I am very curious what it is that people like about these. So, one-time opportunity. I don't know. We'll probably do it again. But
homework.
Homework. Listeners, tell us what you think of the Final Friends trilogy, and maybe we'll play it at the end of episode 3.
Also, if you could include what your other favorite, like 1 or 2 favorite Pike books are besides this trilogy, if you do like this.
Yes, that would be fun. Let's do that.
Such a now, cool research study.
What?
Such a cool research study.
Yes. We're getting all scientific here.
Yeah. I want to know. Let's move on to Sarah's awful boyfriend-ish, Russ Desmond. I literally wrote in the margins, Russ sucks a few times. I really, really don't like him. He is pointless and obnoxious.
Is he the runner?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Russ the runner.
Russ the runner.
I don't really have an opinion on him, to be fair. He's another oatmeal boy. I don't know.
Okay. That's fair.
I think he is also sort of a waste. Everyone around him keeps trying to do nice things for him, and he's very ungrateful. And he is really just like throwing away all of these opportunities that he has because I don't know, maybe he's trying to be cool or something and give off this cavalier attitude, but he's like, oh, I don't care about college. Oh, I don't care about running. Oh, I don't care about anything. But, care about something. Caring is cool.
Yeah. And Sarah does have the moment where she locks him in the freezer at the store and he is forced to axe his way out.
Yeah, that part was cool, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine. But that also plays in with Sarah's incredibly asinine plot point of losing the money for the dance.
Yeah. Maybe we'll talk about that when we get to Sarah, but I was really surprised by that.
No, we were on Sarah.
Oh, okay. I thought we were still on Russ, but she is a very adept student body president. I thought she would be a really good politician, and this was a very rookie mistake to just lose that much money in such a dumb way. But it seemed like she really cared about doing a good job in her role as student government president or whatever.
Oh, I agree. Yeah, and she has interesting qualities about her.
And she's got a lot of good one-liners, I thought. She seems to be a fan favorite from my Instagram friends who have read these books. Everybody seems to really like how sassy she is.
Well, she is the one character that really jumps off the page a little bit more than the others. She's the one theoretically normal character who does. Polly's interesting in this book just because she's acting like she's in another book. But Sarah's, there's early Sugar Sister potential there. But she also gets into this situation with Bubba where she loses this money, and then Bubba offers to gamble to get it back, but she has to sleep with him. It's really icky. So let's talk about Bubba.
Doesn't she have to give him money too? Like whatever money she's got left, he's like, give me whatever you've got left.
Yeah, she gives him 1,000 that he can bet with. Yeah.
And then we're going to fuck. And it's like, wait, what? What? Who made these rules? I don't like them.
I think he's going to invest it in the commodities market, which makes me think that if he were around in 2021, he'd be like deep into crypto.
He would.
Oh, yeah, totally.
He'd be like an NFT boy. Like he'd be talking about him right now and how great those monkey pictures are.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is a terrible plot point. And not only is he not, I mean, he's saying he'll gamble and try to get it. But then he's like, when it's over, me and you having sex, you'll wish there were 100 more times. Huh?
Gross.
Fuck this guy. Fuck him so much.
I mean, no, we don't want that.
No, you're right.
We want the opposite of that.
Good Lord. And he doesn't, like, literally Bubba's entire character in this book is to demand sex from Sarah to help her and to hack into a doctor's office. That's it. Does he do anything else?
He does something else when Claire has to go to the doctor's for her appointment.
Oh, yes. He theoretically gets Claire Hillary pregnant and takes her for an abortion.
Yeah.
Right. Shows how memorable it was. I mean, and then that sets off the whole, let's point out that Claire was at the doctor for an abortion, and now she doesn't get to be homecoming queen.
That part made me so angry.
Yeah.
I think that was really unforgivable what Jessica did.
I mean, like, why is she... First of all, she's still a nobody at this school. She's new.
Yeah.
Why is she in the running for homecoming queen? Why is she suddenly so sure she's going to be homecoming queen when it was a small percentage of students that came with her from her school?
I don't know.
Why does it make me so angry?
Because they're all delusional kids, and you're mad because you're not a delusional kid. There's no way to wrap your mind and understand their weird mental gymnastics. They're all just doing wild things, and it's just like, what are you doing? Why?
Like, she seems very cutthroat in a lot of the things that she tries to do to be homecoming queen. Seem a bit calculated. Like, she's not even really that interested in Bill, but he's like the most popular boy in school. So she kind of thinks if she's seen dating him, maybe that will make her more popular. But she plays with people's hearts. It's not right.
It's not. Fully co-sign on that. Well, let's talk about Claire then. The introduction is Claire's got the self-confidence of a tidal wave, which I don't even know what that means. How confident are tidal waves? Feels like they just do things.
Which, yeah.
So I guess that's
pretty confident. Yeah, you're just like going and crashing into whatever you want.
Okay, good point. So, there's this exchange between Claire and Jessica. Claire turned to dial the combination on her locker. Ask me in a couple of weeks when they call out my name during the dance. Then Jessica here is So that's how it was. Maybe you'll be asking me. Claire paused, giving her the eye, and now she smiled, slow and sure. You may as well know, dearie, I can't lose. That's another old Hollywood moment there. It's like Betty Davis needs to say that, I think. It's
You don't hear too many dearies nowadays.
Dearie, yes. Let's talk about Nick, who seemed like an important character in book 1, but in this book is really relegated to playing basketball. And not being a bad guy. Really, that's it. He plays basketball to prove he's not a bad guy to the parents of the girl, of Maria, because they think he's a bad guy. And our old friend, The Rock, gets a narc to come to school and hand him cocaine. I mean, that's got to be illegal, right? You can't give someone cocaine when they haven't asked for it.
Well, he leaves it in his locker, right?
Yeah, but it says on the house. So, I mean, that is distribution of drugs.
That's fair. Yeah, that's true.
Like if Nick had come up to him and asked, "Do you have any cocaine?" then I could see, okay, yeah, the undercover officer can give cocaine, so there's a transaction, so that's against the law. Sure. But if the undercover officer has the cocaine and gives it away, not only gives it away, but just puts it into a locker.
Was he a real, like, undercover cop guy, though?
Didn't The Rock say he was?
I thought so.
Randy Meister.
I thought he was just somebody he, like, hired.
Well, that could be.
And that's why I was like, okay, it's believable. Like, they're doing kind of shady shit. So he, like, they've got, like, the drugs. They're, like, putting it in his thing, trying to, like, get him caught with it.
Yeah.
Because then it seems weird. Like, wouldn't somebody trained, like, not take it themselves or, like, know that they had just drank a soda or whatever with it?
I love that. I mean, that's the other thing Bubba does, is he does spike the narc's Pepsi with cocaine. So...
Cocaine's like kind of an expensive drug to give away for free. So that was probably like his first mistake. Like that looks very suspicious. If you're like, here's a large bag of this expensive drug for free.
That's true.
It's a little taste for you.
I feel like that's like what you think about when you watch the news around Halloween and all the parents are like, be careful because the weed in the candy. And I'm like, nobody's giving away edibles for free, lady. Like, calm down.
Don't worry. They're very expensive and everybody wants them for themselves. Okay, let's move on to Maria Gonzalez, who, again, is not given much to do in this story except for be afraid to be seen with Nick for the first half, randomly get nominated to be homecoming queen, and then be the person who doesn't, but nearly maybe would have died if she got hurt more by falling off an illy constructed float. I can't believe that's the plot of this book.
The float scene, that whole part, though, it had such good vibes of I Know What You Did Last Summer, and I was like, you know, when like when Buffy Summer, when Sarah Michelle Gellar,
when Buffy Summer,
sorry, my priorities.
I mean, I'm with you.
But when she's on stage and she's like winning that thing, and they're like up in the thing, and they're like screaming because they see the guys getting killed, and then later on when they're having the actual parade like down the street, and there's the big float and stuff, like both of those scenes reminded me of that. And then this was the most exciting scene and the only thing I approve of in the whole book. So. I was like, yes, this is exactly what I would have loved. And so again, if I were 13 reading this book, I would have loved it. Like, I think I might have, because maybe that's the part I remember. And that's why I was like, yes. And then, because when I was reading it now, I was like so excited. I thought she died, though, to be fair. Like, I must have not remembered that she doesn't, because I was like, she's dead. No, she's dead.
She doesn't only not die, but she blames Jessica to the most bizarre extent.
She gets real rude.
Yeah.
If anyone,
here's what this book, the Final Friends should have been one book that's 300 pages long, at page 100 max. Alice should have killed herself. At page 200 max, this should have happened. And then by the end, whatever the hell is going to happen in graduation should have happened. We didn't need all this shit in the middle.
It's so much just high school, like he said, she said, do you like her? Does he like her? Like, I want this one to fuck me, but I don't think he likes me. Like, it's so, ugh.
I know.
There's so much of it.
There's so much of it.
So little float explosion, so much high school.
Let's move on to Bill Skater, who is barely a character at all. He goes out with Jessica. He doesn't have sex with her.
Is he gay?
I don't think so.
Is he not? I thought they were trying to make it, because one of the other girls is like, yeah, good luck for all the luck you'll have with him. Like,
oh,
that was him, right? Like,
I don't know.
One of the girls said that to the other girl. Like, I don't remember. It was just a vibe that was just like, yeah, good luck having him. Like, it's not going to do you much good. Like, I'm pretty sure one of them said that to the other. Sorry, they blend together and just.
No, I'm right there with you.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure that's what happened. And I was getting this vibe because every time she would try to get like physical with him, he got really uncomfortable. But it seems like he's closeted. Like, that's just, I don't know what's going to happen in the next book. That was just the vibe I got from both the last book and this book. Okay, I love when Katie's silent when we're trying to like guess what's going to happen. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what'll happen in the next
book. I know. Anything could happen.
It's possible you're onto something. Who knows?
Like, maybe you're just grabbing random shit out of the air. I don't know. Just me. I'm going to go grab the third book and then just be like, here, right here. I was right.
Well, before long, we'll be reading it, Cassie.
I almost said I was excited, but then that immediately felt so false. I couldn't even get the words out.
Cassie, there's so much action in the third book.
Is there really?
Yeah, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, so much action.
Okay, if I don't know. It's going to have a lot of action for me, I think.
I feel like Katie's fucking with us.
I know, that's what I feel like she said that about book 2, but I don't remember.
She did. So I don't know if she's fucking with us or if there's really action coming. Or if this is all a demented game that you're playing with us, Katie.
I want you guys to be excited about it, because what if you don't invite me back for book 3?
No, I told you earlier, you are here.
We like talking to you. Yeah. We just don't like the books.
You don't get to leave before book 3 is over. Yeah.
We wouldn't want it any other way. We were not going to grab anybody else for book 3.
Oh. Well, let's talk about Clark now, because I feel like, am I the only one who thinks Katie can't answer this. Am I the only one that thinks he's not real?
Oh, the bad guy, right? The bad boy?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. I feel like, so the only ones when he doesn't seem real is when Polly sees him, right? But I feel like she's just a little wacky. So maybe her, like if it was Drusilla, for example, and she were seeing Spike and Spike were saying normal shit to her, she'd be like, oh, wow, the stars, like
very true.
We would be imagining it in a different way. And when the few times like he interacts with other people, he does seem kind of like fucking weird, but like not in the same way. So I think she's just a little wild, but it could be what you're saying, that she's just imagining those moments, and that's why it's weird. I just definitely think it's something to do with her interpretation, because she's like wonky.
Well, there is one moment that really solidified this, and it was toward the end, and he looked at her along with his faint reflection in the glass door, 2 Clarks.
What? Wait, I'm confused though. It was just a reflection? Why is it significant?
She sees him and his reflection.
Is he not supposed to have?
Well, no.
No. What am I missing, Cooper?
You don't put 2 Clarks in italics in a book unless you're seeding the idea that there are 2 Clarks.
Are there 2 Clarks? Does he have a twin?
One real one and one in her head.
Oh.
one in her head that murdered her aunt when she was actually the one that murdered her aunt.
Oh my God, did she murder her aunt, or is that your speculation?
This is my theory.
Oh, okay.
This is what I'm thinking.
I was
what
like,
I
wait,
think
what
is
page
happening.
was that on? What the heck? Okay. So you think she's under duress, and so she just she just snapped. So she killed her aunt, and then is just like manufacturing a reason so that she's not the one who murdered her. Mm-hmm. I feel like that would make sense, and that would check out for a Pike book. I don't know if that's
because
happening.
She also remembers Clark into her accident in the bedroom in book 1, where she was up on the ladder and fell. In her flashback version of it, Clark is there.
When they were in the party?
Yeah.
Wasn't he there, though? I thought he was at the party.
He was not there.
I thought he was out in the backyard and he shot a gun.
Well, that's her imagined version of it.
Oh my God, I don't know what's real in this book anymore. Are you speculating that part, or is that specifically stated?
That's what the only person who interacts with Clark in this book is her. The only one.
But I was convinced he was at the party. Was he not at the party at all?
He says he was, but he was not at the party in the first book that we knew of. He may have been at the party.
Cassie, I wonder if you're thinking of Katz, the guy who brought the gun to the party.
Yeah, there is Carl Katz Barber.
So he was one of the ones who heard the gunshot initially, though, right? Yeah. Him and Nick. And they both ran in one direction because they thought it was coming from downstairs, which is why I was convinced, because they heard it coming from downstairs. So they were running downstairs, which is where the backyard would be if he were outside with Polly.
And I agree. What this book is telling us is that Clark was there, that he was in the yard, and it's strongly implying that he was involved with the death. Right. But what I'm saying is, in book 1, we never see Clark at that party.
Right, I understand. So you're saying that they're just giving us that information now after the fact.
They're either giving us that information, or it's Polly filling in the gaps after she had basically a concussion. Because remember, she fell off the ladder on her head.
Man, I take back what I said. Maybe I'm a little bit looking forward to book 3 now, because I just want to know what the fuck happens.
Honestly,
who at that party?
I'm looking forward to it for that also. I'm not looking forward to it for any other reason. I just want this to be wrapped up. I want to know
I just want it
what's
to end.
going on. I want to finally get to an end in the books, because we've yet to have that. But yeah. So there is another comment here. Polly is worried that Clark will leave her. He turned, his face serious. I can never do that. If I leave you, I die. Sounds like something a fake person would say.
That's yeah, I see that.
Yeah.
I thought he was just being dramatic.
Well, maybe. I don't know. Maybe I'm just desperate for this to mean something more than it does. Maybe that's what's happening here.
We're trying to give the books more credit than they possibly do.
I mean, if I read the next book and Clark is real, and none of this has been in anyone's imagination, I will be very disappointed.
I will say that if there is something there where Polly is the one who kills her aunt and she's just like gone wild, I would like it more.
Me too.
If that is not the case, I will also be like, damn, what the fuck?
So we're putting it out into the world, what we desire, like The Secret from the next book.
Manifesting it, yes.
We're manifesting what we would like the third book to be.
I just picture Katie's over there just tapping her fingertips together, with a smile, evil.
I mean, this must be very difficult to listen to us speculate like this.
No, well, I actually really like what Cassie was saying about how, Polly has this sort of warped lens through which she looks at Clark, because I also found his dialogue to be so unusual. The way that he spoke and the things that he, the terms that he used to refer to her, it was it was so strange. And it does give you either that sense that he is just this figment character because no high school boy speaks like that, right. Or maybe she is just looking at him through this romanticized view or something, and that's how she wants to be referred. But I don't know. I sort of thought that is really interesting. You guys are so astute and intelligent.
I don't know how to take that.
I know. Okay. I like it. I like it.
Yeah,
I feel like
okay.
I'm good. Yeah, I did something. I don't know what I did, but I did something. You know, when you were talking about it, though, I don't know if y'all have ever played Vampire the Masquerade, but one of the, like, vampire-y type of people are called Malkavians, and they're just, like, kind of, like, batshit, like, wild. Like, nothing they do makes sense. And when you're playing as them, like, your speech is completely altered. So everything you say and everything you hear from people is completely skewed from if you were one of the other, like, factions or races or whatever of vampire.
Yeah.
So she's kind of like that. Like, she reminds me of that. And that's my favorite one to play because it's just, like, it's just weird stuff. And you're just like, what is happening here? Like, you're not seeing things how other people see it. And it's sad that she had, like, you know, probably the brain damage to lead to that in the book, but.
And yes, we did confirm that she had electroshock therapy.
She did, yes. So her brain is.
Our talks about the doctor and the hospital from the first book were confirmed that that's where they were going with it.
So there are some things that they just didn't give us fully.
That surprised me that they were still doing that treatment in, like, the 80s.
Honestly, I don't think they were giving high school students electroshock therapy in the 80s for depression. But listeners, if you know differently, please do tell us. I was under the impression that went away earlier than the 80s.
Well, they say, too, they were like, somebody mentioned that it was just, like, because they were so rich, they were able to afford something that wasn't the norm. I thought, like, they were like, this is just, like, her best chances or the best treatment or something like that.
I mean, it wasn't gotten rid of because it was expensive. It was gotten rid of because it was barbaric.
No, but what I'm saying is maybe, like, they had tried other things for her and those other things didn't work. So they were like, okay, like, we know this guy, and if we pay him a lot of money, like, he could do this thing. Like, that was what I was thinking.
But isn't that after her parents are dead?
Wait, who gets her the therapy then?
That's a good question.
Was it her
aunt?
Yeah, maybe her aunt.
Yeah, it says that she was in the hospital with depression for a long time after her parents died, and it just says the doctors treated her with electroshock. So maybe, I don't know, there wasn't much of a consent.
That's even worse.
Yeah. Which I think that's, like, the norm, though. When you're under 18, your parents can pretty much sign
absolutely.
into those places. And yeah.
Okay, we have one more character, and she was also the last character on the last list. And again, she serves the same function. She is just here as a punching bag. Cindy Fossmeyer.
Oh my
She had huge breasts and a big nose.
I felt so bad for her. They're so mean to her.
They are, yeah. And then she's not exactly the princess type. You mean she's a dog? Bubba nodded, but she does have big breasts, and those babies go a long way with half the votes in the school. I mean, in the last book, they only really punched her about her weight and ugliness once. But this one, like 4 or 5 times here, and continues Jessica being a just outright bitch. Jessica was finding it difficult to understand how Cindy Fossmeyer had been selected to the court. The girl had lost several pounds in the past week, perhaps as much as half a pound directly off her massive chest. But her large nose had not shrunk in the interim, and the ton of makeup she had chosen to plaster over her face had failed to bury it.
Ugh.
It was a sad fact, but a fact nevertheless. Cindy was a dog.
I hate it.
Yeah.
She could be, like, a really nice person, and that's why she's so popular.
I want her to kill everybody.
Yeah.
It turns out it was Cindy all along.
Oh my gosh. I love it.
That'd be great. Okay, I think we need to take a quick break. And then when we come back, we're going to dig into the plot. So we'll be right back with more of the PikeCast.
Wow, friends. Where else can you get this kind of programming than the PikeCast? Nowhere, that's where. But we're trying to keep the lights on here. If you like what you're hearing and want it to keep happening, jump over to our Patreon at thepikecast.com/Patreon and throw us a few bucks to join our private Discord server. Higher tiers get books, stickers, bookmarks, and even personalized shirts. That's thepikecast.com/Patreon.
Hey friends, Cooper here. We want to take a moment and thank all of our many wonderful patrons. Thank you so much to Jeanette, Pravina, Kelly, Chris, Hay, Rachel, Tracy, Lynn, Rhiannon, Jennifer, Magdalene, Sienna, Lara, Boots, Allison, Alicia, Anastasia, Nicola, Norma, Rebecca, Katie, April, Jeanette, Jamie, Crystal, Jenny, Jasmine, Nicole, Kristen, and Libri. Without your support, we would not be able to do this. So thank you so very much.
Once, Osgood and Frost were the up-and-coming stars of the burgeoning paranormal investigation TV show craze before a hoax put an end to their friendship, partnership, and television careers. Now, over a decade later, Prudence Osgood is a barely functioning alcoholic ghost hunter for hire. Her yearning for mystery and adventure is reignited when she receives a cryptic, untraceable email. She can't resist embarking on an investigation that tugs threads, winding through a sinister series of disappearances, her former partner's family, and a night 20 years ago when a semi blew a yellow light and nearly killed her. Reviewers are calling Osgood Is Gone a masterfully vulnerable and relatable 21st century horror story, and a bourbon-soaked supernatural mystery with sparkling dialogue that sticks the landing on LGBT characters, and main character Prudence Osgood, as tortured as she is clever, broken in all the best ways, and a true heroine for our times. Buy it today at Osgood Is Gone as a paperback, ebook, or audiobook narrated by me, JJ Ronvier.
Welcome back to the PikeCast. Now we slide over into our plot discussion, Remember Me. And plot is in quotes in this section title. I do want to reassure everybody, though, because I know there was some concern at the end of the last book. We do have another sporting event where people just wonder where each other are. This time it's a basketball game. But we have, is Bill here? Sarah asked. I haven't seen him. Is Russ? She asked. No, and don't ask me where he is. I don't know. Does Bubba know? I've never had a book where more characters wonder where each other are.
This is before the time of cell phones.
That's true. That's true. So this book opens with a multi-page previously on Final Friends. And I don't know how they got multiple pages out of it.
That should have just been all of book one. These 8 pages or whatever. That's a good summary.
And then when we get to book 3, I'm sure they're going to do that for book 1 and 2 or book 2.
One,
and just could have, and 3 just could have been all of it. It could have, it would have everything we need.
Yeah. So there's a whole, we're given so many little red herrings that may or may not mean something. Polly has a friend at her parents' company who's designing the float, but she also has another friend who got injured and then dies in the book. But it doesn't seem to matter. I don't know if we're supposed to think maybe Polly killed him. I don't know. I don't know why he's there. We never actually meet him. I don't know.
Yeah, I can't say that I for sure know either.
Okay, good. So it's not just me desperately confused here. I do enjoy that Polly says the man with the electricity. And that's what the fuck is she talking about?
Yeah.
Until we find out that, she was put under electroshock therapy. Oh, here's the part where Clark inserts himself into the party. Yeah, I came at the end like you told me to. Don't you remember? Yeah, she said quickly. I had just forgotten for a moment, that's all. She really did remember. Not everything, maybe, but a lot. The three of them had been in the room together. They had gotten into an argument about paper cups, or why Clark hadn't come earlier, something like that. Then she and Clark had left Alice alone in the room and gone downstairs. He had left on his motorcycle, and she had gone out in the back to check on the chlorine in the pool. That is definitely revisionist history.
Yeah. I think if you remember from the first book, there was like a whole conversation between Polly and Alice where they said like he wasn't invited to the party. He definitely wouldn't be there.
Yeah, for sure.
So he was not at the party. For real.
Well, I mean, again, we don't know. We just know that book 1 didn't tell us that.
Book 1 led us to believe he definitely was not.
Right. Here's another moment that is calling out Clark being dead or fake, as far as I know. The water felt delicious atop her head. This is Polly in the rain, sliding down inside her blouse and over her breasts. That almost made the sexy section, but it's not very sexy. Clark took her into his arms again, leaned close to her ear. I like you this way, he whispered, cold like me. See, that goes right along with the he looked dead comment from the first book. I'm just desperate to put supernatural stuff in this book, clearly. And here's the other one where Clark says this cryptic thing. Listen closely and ponder deeply. It wasn't you who killed her, and it wasn't me who pulled the trigger. Meaning I killed her and you pulled the trigger?
What could it mean?
I have no idea, but maybe we'll find out, but maybe not. Who knows? Also, I think it is worth mentioning that Clark has red hair and green eyes.
So he's either very good or very evil.
Yes, exactly. We completely skipped over Russ's bizarre side jaunt where he's living with Polly because he got kicked out of his house for chopping the freezer door off at work. And then that makes Polly certain that he's going to have sex with her. And let's see, Polly hadn't lied to Michael. She really had been on her way out when he called. She had to go to the market for groceries and to the family clinic for contraceptives. If Russ's sexual appetite matched his appetite at the kitchen table, she figured she had better be prepared.
Okay, is this I was so confused. Do they not sell condoms at stores in this time? Do you have to go to a place? Because that was so weird to me. She had to go and check in and wait there just to buy condoms?
I feel like they have sold condoms in stores. I feel like she is just so utterly clueless about all of this, which I also don't understand for a senior in high school.
Yeah, I kind of got the impression she was trying to get like pills, but it's not like they would go into effect that very day, but she wouldn't know that obviously because she doesn't know anything.
Well, she doesn't even know the difference between a condom and a diaphragm, according to this.
Right.
I can't find the quote, but she says she doesn't know which the guy wears. So is the only reason she's at that family clinic to witness Claire and Bubba and the presumed abortion? I don't know.
Sometimes you ask these questions, Coopers, and I want to be able to give you an answer, but I don't have any answers for you, so I don't know.
I know. I appreciate you wanting to give me the answer. I appreciate it. There is a tiny bit of Michael actually being a detective here. Not a lot, but there is some. It's not good. But we do get this interesting quote from the one time anyone other than Polly and Alice saw Clark and interacted with Clark. Clark said, "Our team's as lousy as yours, but in our stadium, you can always lean your head back and look at the trees in the sky." So that's an interesting quote that very, very long time later leads Michael to a school in the mountains where he finds Clark Halley. And Clark's last name is Halley, like Halley's Comet. And Michael was looking for a comet. And I suppose I could consider that clever, but I really just, it infuriates me. I
didn't notice that. You should be a writer or something.
Well, thank you, Katie. I have a page where I just wrote Jesus across of it because it's Michael telling his coach that he doesn't know how to coach. Great.
Yeah, he's a bit too smart for his own good.
Yeah. And it's pointless. Again, all of this is pointless. Jessica taking no-dos instead of taking Valium instead of no-dos when she's going to take the SATs.
I forgot about that. Oh my God.
I know. And then having to cheat, but cheating wrong.
How could you think that it would be that easy to cheat on the SATs?
I know, right? I mean, come on.
It's a series of unfortunate events.
That ultimately, like, what are we saying with this? Is it that she is going to have to go to a community college instead of a big college? Has this ruined her life? Like, give me existential dread from a teenager if they just fail the SATs like that. Don't just make her only concerned about the fucking homecoming queen.
Yeah, it's true. Well, she mentions Stanford by name several times. Like, she was really convinced that this whole time she was going to get into Stanford. I don't think she was ever going to get into Stanford.
I don't think she was ever going to get into No.
She wasn't interested in school at all. And she clearly wasn't interested in studying for the SATs. I think she was just a bit too privileged.
Yes. She was as certain that she was going to be homecoming queen as she was certain she was going to get into Stanford. I do have a really great moment from Sarah where she sees Russ jogging down Polly's long driveway. He's living with Polly. I should run him over.
Reasonable.
Yeah. I mean, this is again Sarah being the most interesting character in the book. Okay, this is some good irony here. I don't know. It may not actually be irony. Alana screwed us all up. Claire growled, this is to Bubba, "You're always bragging about your ability to get anything you want. And here I ask you one tiny favor, and you say no. I'm sick of it, Bubba. I tell you, I won't stand on that stage and see her," Jessica, "crowned." So Claire is complaining that Bubba is always bragging about getting anything he wants while demanding anything she wants. I like that. That's not irony, is it?
It's like totally irony adjacent, I think.
Adjacent, yes. That's a good one.
It's Alanis Morissette irony.
Yeah. The best kind.
Okay.
I love how you sound like you're being physically pained by looking at your own notes.
I am in pain. Like, there's so much. Like, why did I highlight so much of this book? I think half the time it's just so I remember something happened. It's like I'm not meaning to read this. I just want to remember that it happened. Okay, here. Once upon a time, Bill's asking her, Jessica, to the dance would have meant everything, and she had agreed to go with him because he still had a body that wouldn't quit. But she was no longer infatuated with him. He virtually had no personality, she finally realized. That's Pike chastising himself for writing a character with no personality. More important, she was interested in someone else. She was in love with Michael Olsen. Then later, not for the first time, Jessica wondered what he really thought of her. She would have given almost anything to know, except for asking.
Yeah.
It's like Meatloaf. I would do anything for love except ask you if you like me. And the moment of silence for Meatloaf.
Mm-hmm.
Back at it. No, seriously, I was sad that Meatloaf died.
Yeah.
Meatloaf's pretty awesome. Okay. Poor Polly was limping around like a deer with its foot caught in a bear trap. I don't know what that's in reference to, but yeah, I have that.
Just the lines out of context, it makes the story sound way more interesting.
I know, right? But here it is. Yeah, but we're talking about 40 megabytes of data. There must be 60 or 70 files here.
Oh my gosh.
And I realized on the commercial when I mentioned that Bill Gates once said, I don't know why anyone would need any more than 648K of RAM. It was actually 64, not 640. He didn't know how anyone would need more than 64K of RAM.
Wow.
So, yes, that was a long time ago.
A simpler time.
But not a long time ago from when this book was written, which is why we're talking about 40 megabytes of data like it's the most insane thing ever. There is a subplot about Michael's mother, who doesn't have a name, and her boyfriend getting pregnant and then going to get married. Huh?
Yeah. He
Good for
approves
them.
of his mother's decision this time.
He does. And he's certain that the baby is going to be a girl. And I bet he wants to name her Alice. And I wonder if she is Alice, because there's something supernatural here, and I'm going to fucking find it.
Cooper's just hoping against all hope, despite everything else we've read so far in this series. We've had like 400 combined pages of high school, and Cooper's like, where are the fucking ghosts? Where are the fucking spirits?
It's just these little moments that are almost there.
Wasn't it in like Whisper of Death where like one of the characters has an abortion, but then another one of the characters like might have been that person's baby?
Yes.
From the
There's
future.
A soap baby.
That's the creepy soap baby in the shower.
That is a fantastic book.
Yeah.
It really is.
So maybe Alice is Michael's sister from the future.
Oh, she's Michael's soap baby.
Yeah.
Well, she's certainly Michael something in his dreams, which we get another one here, but it gives us no more information. We get a dig on last year's homecoming queen, who couldn't make it to the dance because she had a crash fast that she had undertaken to lose the 40 pounds she needed to lose to fit into the dress she had worn when she had been elected queen. So again, no reason to slam someone for gaining weight, but we're going to do it. Okay, so Maria is crowned prom queen. No, homecoming queen. For no good reason. And then the float collapses and she almost dies. And that is the exciting conclusion of this book. She almost dies. Almost.
At the end of the book, when I read it for the first time, I was a bit confused because there was also, so after the homecoming parade had taken place and everyone was crowned and the dance was over, Jessica and Michael were kind of alone in the school just cleaning up or whatever, and they heard this loud crash, and I thought that that was going to be the crash from the float, but it was actually someone like chopping down a large tree that like went through the school cafeteria or something.
I believe it's the tree that Russ was in. No, not Russ. Yes, Russ.
Yeah, Russ
was in book 1, was drunk in the tree with the axe.
Yeah.
I think that's the tree he cut down. So we're supposed to think he cut the float down.
Yeah, and so I was like, did the tree hit the float? But I don't think that's what happened.
Or was the float just not structurally stable, like Polly's associate was warning her the entire book?
He was like, I'm really not an expert in this. You should probably get some kind of like engineer or something.
It's like, why are we building this in a pickup truck? What's wrong with you?
The way they described it was very elaborate. Sarah said that she had like gotten the idea from an MTV music video. It had like multiple layers and like a turret. And it was,
good God.
It was fancy.
And then my last note here is we get to be continued. Final Friends 3, The Graduation. Cassie, you ready for this promise? The truth is finally revealed at a terrible price.
I'm ready for it, and I want that price to be so terrible that it makes up for all of the other. I think
the price is that we have to read another book.
If it answers some questions and give us some good like actual stuff this time, though.
No, I agree. And you remember how last time I gave an extra half pike? If this book was better, I would add it.
Yeah.
It wasn't better, so I'm not adding it.
Definitely not.
I'm going to pass a whole pike on now to book 3. If it's better. If it somehow threads this needle, it's going to get a whole extra pike.
That's generous, I think.
I think so. But let's move. There's no villain. We can't do the eternal enemy when there isn't one.
It's true.
I mean, Jessica's a bitch.
The book is the real villain here. The fact that there are 3 of them, and that before I get any damn answers, that is villainous.
Yes. Oh, I found the diaphragms line. For some reason, I put it in the thirst section.
What?
So first, there's this is Polly. It was really a question of priorities, she thought, after deciding not to go home before visiting the clinic, the welfare of her body over the welfare of a few lousy frozen carrots. Obviously, if she was going to have sex like a mature woman, she was going to have to act like one and take the precautions necessary to keep from becoming pregnant. I guess that counts as sexuality. Then, sure, she had read about condoms and diaphragms in women's magazines, but all the articles had been written with the assumption you knew what those things were. Polly wasn't even sure which one the boys wore.
Oh my God.
I mean, it was the 80s. It was the time of AIDS. There were condom commercials everywhere. How did she not know this?
Well, because she was getting, her brain shocked. Maybe
That's
she didn't
true.
watch TV. She was just like hooked up to that.
Maybe they wiped it out.
The eternal sunshine, all of her sex
Yeah,
ed.
yeah. They just wiped out all her condom information. And you know what? There's this line that's from when Bill won't have sex with Jessica. So again, I don't know why it's in the sexuality section. She didn't even have to fix her bra as she got up. She decided there must be something wrong with his parents' couch. I guess because he didn't have sex. So
that's what I assume too. Anytime a guy is just like, nah, not into it. I'm like, oh,
not
it
into
must
it?
be this fucking couch.
Yeah, should we move to a different couch? I don't know.
Definitely a furniture problem.
Yeah,
I've got a solution here. This chair.
Furniture problem, yes. So there's a moment at the dance, I think, where Russ demands that Sarah kiss him. And he says, if you don't kiss me right now, I'll fondle your breasts in front of everybody.
Mm.
And then he said, you wouldn't dare. No? He went to grab her chest with both his paws. She jumped back and scurried past him.
Pause,
Great.
though. That's a choice.
It is.
It's to make it more animalistic, I guess.
Yeah, and it's making a reasonable choice. Yeah. That's not bad. Okay, I'm done with sexuality. I mean, do either of you have anything?
For sexuality? I don't know why I pronounced that so fucking weird, y'all. I'm sorry.
For sexuality?
I liked it. It was very sexual the way that you said that.
Oh my God, no, I don't have anything for this section.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's move into Die Softly, where we talk about moralizing and problematic elements in the writing and plot. We got some abortion shaming in here. We've got some abusive relationship stuff in here. I mean, we've got cheating on the SATs. But that's it. Like, there's nothing really objectionable, I don't think.
I thought it was
not once did they mention the barrio. No, I'm wrong.
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna say. There's a pretty problematic part.
Wiped the scene with The Rock and Nick going to his old neighborhood, and I think Nick setting The Rock up to get shot.
Nearly.
I'm not sure.
To be fair, he told him, he was like, do this specific thing, and the guy did not listen to him, and that's why he almost got shot.
But it seems like an iffy move in the first place.
You're not wrong. Yeah, it was.
So
yeah,
there's that.
I totally forgot about that scene.
Yeah. So, like, basically what happened is that the whole reason that The Rock was so mean to him in the first book was that he thought he was like a terrible drug dealer, and The Rock is this big brother, so of course he wants to look out for underprivileged children, because I guess The Rock assumed that, because Nick was Black, that he was this drug dealer, but Nick was like, no, there's another drug dealer that just happens to also be Black.
Yes.
He's the person that you are.
He's like, we don't even look alike, motherfucker. Like, we are both Black. Like, what the hell?
Yeah, basically, that's just The Rock justifying his racism.
Yeah.
So.
But then they were like best friends after that.
Which I also hated.
Yeah.
You don't need to forgive everybody.
Yeah.
Sometimes people are just assholes. Like that's Jessica. True. Just an asshole. Let's move into the season of passage. I do have 2 examples of best writing. The dead might bleed, but they never cried. I think that's at least interesting. Then this is Jessica to Michael. Something came up. I have to cancel on you. That's okay. Hey, the sun just blew up. That's okay. I can carry on as a collection of cooked carbon molecules. No problem. That's literally the best writing in the book.
Can I say a line that I like?
Yes, please.
This was between Jessica and Sarah. I just thought it was like a cute, sort of realistic teenage girl conversation. So Jessica's like staring at Claire and she's like, she shouldn't look so goddamn confident. Quit swearing, Sarah said. Go to hell. They stared at each other a moment and then laughed. Bitch of a night, Sarah said.
That's pretty good.
I thought that was cute.
That's pretty good. Should I move to weird?
Yeah.
This one just has a question mark next to it because I really wonder why this is in the book. Before pulling away from the bank, Sarah noticed the teller had forgotten to stamp the new balance in the ASB Council's checkbook. A dash back inside remedied the situation.
Yeah, I thought that was going to become something, and then it did not.
Like that entire paragraph, you lift it out, it doesn't change a thing.
Maybe it'll be relevant later.
That's what all of book 3 is going to be about.
It's just the bank book, yeah. I could see that.
Dude, that teller is the one who killed Alice. We know because she also forgot to sign the checkbook. That clearly tells us.
That's the evidence.
Yeah.
They should take that directly to the lieutenant that doesn't bother to make an appearance in this book.
Lieutenant, take it to Mike. He's the sleuth over here.
That's true. He is the sleuth. I did enjoy this next bit. She stood there feeling totally helpless for the next minute, reading and rereading the label on a bag of frozen cauliflower. Ingredients, cauliflower.
I like that too. That made me laugh.
Yeah, I enjoyed that. And then I have one Pikeism. McDonald's! Everybody knows I won. I just didn't get the trophy. Big deal. This way we don't have to wait around for the award ceremony. Come on, let's go to that McDonald's we ate at when we were out that night. I'm starving.
What is that even? I hate
this.
That.
This is Russ.
I hate that, though. Like, that one thing we did when we were out that one night. Like, I'm not your best friend. I don't know what you're talking about. Like, use real full sentences. Tell me.
Well, this is from his only date with Sarah.
But it's just like the way he's wording it is just so
I know,
lazy.
I know.
Like, and
but
it's not even the writing; it's just his character.
Sarah says, "You're crazy." Her voice incredulous. He frowned. What's wrong with McDonald's? They use the same hamburger a fancy restaurant does. They just don't charge you an arm and a leg, which sounds like a commercial. That's it. That's all I got. Literally all my notes.
I had another conversation between Sarah and Jessica. This was another line I thought was funny. Towards the beginning when Sarah lost the money for the school dance, she goes, I'm in trouble, Jessie, and all you care about is winning some horse-faced beauty pageant.
Wow, so not only are the people involved horse-faced, but the beauty pageant itself is horse-faced. Wow.
That's way harsh, Ty.
Well, let's figure this shit out and move to last act.
Wait, which one's last act?
Final thoughts and ratings.
Hang on, wait, I have one thing. It doesn't fall anywhere else.
Yeah.
Sorry, it doesn't fall anywhere else, and it's specifically for Katie. So listen, there's this part in the book, and it's when they're talking about some drink, and I'll read it to you, okay? So she was back in a minute with a huge ice-filled glass, a slice of orange stuck on the rim. She hadn't bothered about one for herself. I don't know why, but I was like, Katie needs to start a whole new Instagram where she draws the drinks and foods from these books. And like, it's just like a spin-off of what you already do, but it's just like cute little glasses and little foods and stuff. And obviously I'm not trying to give you homework. I just thought it was
Cassie,
just so cute.
Know most of it's going to be glasses of milk.
No, don't do that.
And
Don't.
McDonald's
Yes.
meals.
Yeah.
A lot of, and also glass burgers. There's a lot of material here.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love it. And then from Die Softly, you could draw like the cocaine cookies.
Yes.
Yes.
With SS on them and frosting, I think.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. So good.
Oh my gosh, you're so smart.
That's literally my only thing that I have tabbed and highlighted in this entire book. And the note says, Katie.
Oh my God.
Waiting this whole time, and I'm just like, I don't know where to put this in. I don't know where to mention this. And then you're like, let's go on to ratings. I'm like, wait.
Well, now let's go on to ratings.
Yes, now we're good.
So, Katie, upon this reread, I mean, even if you want to think about it before you talk to us, what is your final thoughts and ratings on book 2 of the Final Friends trilogy?
Okay, so I totally admit that this wasn't as action-packed as we were probably hoping for.
As you told us.
Well, maybe I'm boring, and
No.
But I do think that there were some important clues that were revealed in this book, and maybe they might not necessarily seem that important yet, but
The
I
bank
think
teller.
Yeah, it's all about the bank teller. Right, Cassie. I didn't even think of that.
But, and there's also some things that Michael uncovered related to Alice's mysterious death. Like one of the pieces of evidence he gathered from the autopsy was that her nose was broken.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's something we didn't note before. And there was also, I can't remember, this might have been in book 1, but that the gun was like shot with her left hand, but she was actually right-handed.
Mm-hmm.
So there was some interesting things that Michael was kind of able to gather that I thought were really interesting, as well as some other clues that, again, might not seem directly related at the moment. So again, most of the characters were rather unlikable. I did really like Sarah, though. I thought she was a lot of fun in this book, and had some good one-liners. So I think it was a bit of an improvement over the first book, which was a lot of just character development. So I am going to give it like maybe 2.5 pikes.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think my first book was like 2 pikes, so we're a little bit better.
Okay, Cassie.
Can you remind me, what was my first book rating?
0.99.
Oh, shit. I was like, how
you
can
didn't
I go
want
lower?
to give it a full pike.
Oh, God. Okay. All right. You know what? Okay, I'm gonna undo what I said before. Undo. Like, so stupid. Like, I'm on a computer. I'm just like backspacing.
Control Z. Control Z.
I'm going to take back what I said. I will say that this book had more going on, at least from the perspective of the big explosion at the end, and then the girl going wild and angry, and then also Drusilla Polly. That comparison really did make me like this one and her bits, because I already liked her bits, but I couldn't pinpoint why, and that is exactly why. So I think I will give this one a full pike, which is slight improvement from the first book, because yes, I agree. That book was just, I don't even know actually if I would agree that it was character development, because it was just introduction, and then like it was like you stuck a bunch of teens in a room and they just stood there. Like, and then one of them ended up getting shot in the head. And it just like, it was just so like, even the most exciting thing. Even the most exciting part of that one was like, so like, I was just like, well, what the fuck? Like, what happened? So I think for me, these books are going to get a little bit higher rating each time. That's my theory right now, not having read book 3, just because I think I will like the explanations more, because you guys know how I love a monologue, and I love how, everything gets revealed at the end. I think we're building up to something that I will find passable.
It's going to be like 3 chapters of monologue.
I know, dude. It's going to be like 15 pages of having to tell me what happened in the first 2 books, which honestly I might be grateful for, because I don't even remember. Like, It was a whole lot of nothing. And so, anyways, I'm going to give this one star, 1 pike, and I am going to, I should have thought about this one before. Okay. 1 full pike with a dead smothered aunt on the side.
Wow.
I couldn't think of anything else, and that was my first go-to, so I'm going to go
How
with
much
it.
is she worth?
She's worth well, it depends. I don't know until the 3rd book, until we find out who killed her.
So
she could be worth a lot if it's Polly.
It's like you're extending credit to the next book.
Exactly. Okay. Yes, that's the way that I'm going to do it. So if it's Polly, if there was something sneaky going on there and the aunt died because of her, okay. But if the bad guy, that's an obvious bad guy, is actually just a bad guy, I'm going to be bored.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. And then I'll smother her the rest and she'll be gone.
Love it.
Yes.
Okay, so I've gone back and forth here. I was tempted to give it a 0 because I really hated this. But I like that Remember Me Too is my only 0, so I'm gonna give it half a pike. And there's nothing clever I can add to that because it's not a clever book.
Do you wanna borrow my smothered aunt?
What about a diaphragm just jammed down on top of the pike? So it's useless. A useless prophylactic.
One you had to wait in a waiting room for a while.
Yes.
And you don't even know where it goes.
Who uses it?
So Final Friends 2 at this moment is a marginal improvement over Final Friends 1, which was 1.16 average, and this is 1.33 average.
Wow.
So
yay.
They still are both below our second lowest rated last act. Which was a 2. Anyway, let's call it a night here. Before we do that, Katie, where can they find you and your podcast and your art online?
You can follow me on Instagram at The Haunted Outfit if you like drawings of haunted outfits. And you can also find my podcast called Super Chillers on all podcast platforms. We talk about YA horror books from the 80s and 90s.
Cassie, where can we find you online?
You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at ControlAltCassie. It's CTRLALTCASSIE. And I also have an art shop where I sell books and bookmarks and t-shirts and a bunch of other things. And that is shopletsgetgalactic.com.
And you can find me at coopersbeckett.com and at Cooper S. Beckett on all the social media sites. My books can be bought through my website or anywhere you can search my name for books. I think. Cassie, why don't you tell them where they can find our show?
You can follow us at the PikeCast on all social media, and you can read along with us on Goodreads. We also have a Patreon, patreon.com/thepikecast. You can join that, and we'll talk to you in our Discord. You get early access to episodes, and you'll get things like bookmarks and stickers.
And your homework for next time, Pikers, is Final Friends 3, The Graduation. And what do we think the over-under is? There will actually be a graduation in this book.
It's going to happen at like the very last 20 pages.
No. But maybe someone will walk through a wall and murder someone at graduation. Because apparently that was supposedly happening in this book, but didn't. Until then, Pikers, pleasant dreams.
Woo!
You survived the night, friends. You can peek out from under your covers and see the first blues of dawn out the window. Thanks for spending the night with the PikeCast, and we hope you'll join us again next time. Until then, Pikers, pleasant dreams.